Design Fella here with a quick tip in After Effects. I'm a big fan of 1980s family adventure films like The Goonies, Explorers and Flight of the Navigator and so on. And I absolutely loved Stranger Things. Mainly because of two things. It was just a nostalgia overload and the fact that it had amazing title sequences. I'm a huge nerd for title sequences, so today I thought I would show you how to get that effect that they used for the chapter titles. As you can see, it fades in and is a red color, starts zooming in, fades into an off-white color, and then immediately becomes transparent whilst leaving the background black and revealing our footage until we're fully into our scene. Various titles in the 1980s like Altered States and The Dead Zone used this effect, and it was mostly optical, but I'm going to show you how to recreate it in After Effects. Let's create a new composition, and I'm going to call it Tutorial and duration 14 seconds. Okay. Next we need to create our text. I'm using ITC Benguet, which is the font used in Stranger Things, but you can use whatever font you'd like. Double click on the horizontal type tool and enter your text. I'm going to copy the text from Stranger Things, but change it up a little. Design Fella makes a title. Make sure that it is centered in your composition, and I've made sure that my titles are white, and I'll explain why in a minute. Make sure that you don't have anything selected in your timeline, and select the pen tool and make a line. Hold down Shift so that when you're creating the second point, it does a straight line. Rename this to line, and you can see that the line hasn't actually added anything to it. So let's come to the contents, shape, and change the stroke to about 4. Yeah, that looks good. And I'll make sure that this is set to white as well. Now we'll just make sure this is centered as well. Bring up the title action save. There we go. Select both the text and the line, go up to layer and pre-compose, and I'll call this titles. Move all attributes into the new composition and hit OK. Next, what you want to do is create a black solid. So I'm just going to call this background, hit OK, and move this down underneath your titles composition. If you can't see your track matte options, come down to toggle switches / modes and click on that, and now you can see that the track matte is here. We're going to use the titles for the track matte for this black solid and set it to alpha inverted matte, and it seems like it's just disappeared now, but if we turn on the transparency grid, we can see that we can see through the black solid through to whatever will be underneath. So this is a good time to bring in our actual footage that we're going to be using. So I've just got this footage that I got from a stock website that I have a subscription to, and it's pretty basic. It's just, oh, it doesn't, yeah, there we go. So it just plays through its fog and stuff. Now we can see through, but we don't want that the entire time. So you'd think, oh, we can just change this. But if to the point where we need to have it fade out, we change that, it completely eliminates the track matte. So we don't want that. So what we will do is duplicate that titles. So now if we hide this and change the opacity on this, you can see that it leaves the layer underneath. So it's completely perfect now. So whatever we do to this doesn't affect this one. We'll create a new null, and I'm going to call this control and parent both titles to this control. Make them 3D layers and also make the control 3D layer. If we zoom in, you'll notice that the text and the line starts to get faded out. So we need to turn on continuously raster for the titles, and that's this part here. click on that, click on it here, and you can see that it's now put the effect back into its original position. We need to go into the titles and make sure that the 3D option is turned on for both of these as well. Now come back into tutorials and you can see it snaps back into place. So no matter how close we get now, it's always going to be those nice sharp edges. And that's exactly what we wanted for that. All you have to do now is start keyframing it to zoom in and go exactly where you want it. I want it so that it's going to where the E is. Excellent. If you zoom in too much, the text is going to go behind and that will break the matte for this background. So we don't want to do that. You need to leave it so it's just in the way. But it doesn't really matter for the text itself because that's going to be becoming transparent by the end. Now the reason why that we left it white was so that when we add our color corrected tint to it, the color won't get affected by whatever shade of color that you had. So let's for example go in here and I'll make it so, change this so it's the red color. If we go back in here, now you can see that it's gone grey. So if we try to make it red here, it's gonna give us some really weird coloring effect. So instead of having this be the color that we want it to change to, just get rid of that tint, and you have it so it's white, so whatever tint we change it for in here is what the eventual color will be. And you may see a bit of an error like this. If this comes up and you want to get rid of that, go to your matte and add a simple choker to the bottom one and just put it to about 1. So that's a little bit better. So I've changed my titles to be a red color and I'm going to map the white. It's the red color and then it will fade out to a white color and change the opacity here till 0. So if we bring up all the keyframes here, you can see that it's red, goes into white, and then starts becoming transparent. Excellent. To get the movement of the text a little bit better, you can open up your graph editor and change the Z position into an easy ease out. So it will just slowly start going down. If you wanted to have a little bit more of an authentic sort of look to it to mimic what they would have done on an optical effect, you can add things like roughen edges to the titles layer and change it a little bit. So change the scale, change this up, and it just sort of gives that little bit of an effect where it's sort of looks like it's been actually cut out and just stuck over the lens or whatever that they've done to get this effect. And just little touches like that, even adding an adjustment layer and adding some grain to the shot. So we'll open up Magic Bullet Looks, put this over the top, and we'll add a grain to it or whatever. And just little things like that will give it that more authentic sort of look. You can even bring your composition into another one to just make sure to get rid of those edges. So as you can see, there's little bits up here. So if you just bring it into a new composition and just scale it up, you don't even have to scale it up more than 1% and it gets rid of that straight away. Hopefully you found this quick tip helpful. Click like on the video and hit subscribe below if you did. Keep an eye out on this channel for the upcoming months because I intend to tackle the main titles from Stranger Things and how to get the look they achieved for those and possibly I may go into the Upside Down. We'll see if I have enough time between projects. Thanks for watching.